Elliot's Emergency, written and illustrated by an old family friend, Andrea Beck. Elliot Moose woke up and leapt out of bed. What a glorious morning! He pulled on his shirt and grabbed his bag. Today was a special day and he was ready. Elliot was going exploring with his best friend, Socks. They planned to travel far into the big house and be away overnight. Elliot ran to get his sleeping bag. As he scooped it up, his leg brushed the woodwork and he felt a sharp tug. He was caught on something. Elliot gave his leg a shake. Then he tried pulling, but nothing happened. Socks would be waiting. He had to go. Finally, he yanked with all his might and came free. But as he flew backward, he heard a terrible ripping sound. Elliot looked down in horror. "Socks!" he shrieked. Socks raced over. She gasped. Elliot's fuzzy leg was open. "Are you okay?" she asked. "No," whimpered Elliot. Socks peered at the hole. "Let's see if you can walk," she suggested. Elliot bravely tried a few steps. He didn't feel any different. A bit drafty, perhaps. But when he looked down, he could see his stuffing. What if it all came out? For a moment, he imagined himself as just an empty shell of fur. Frantically, Elliot rummaged through his things. "Thank goodness," he said, holding up a shiny pin. "Now everything will be fine." Socks gently put the pin in place. But when she was done, there was still a little hole at each end of the tear. Elliot tried walking again. Then he noticed a long thread dangling from his leg. And one of the little holes was getting bigger. "Socks!" he cried. "I'm coming undone! Get help!" Socks scrambled upstairs. "Emergency!" she yelled. "Elliot's coming apart!" Lionel was the first one down. He took a look and smiled. "Nothing to worry about," he said. "We'll fix you up in no time. I've been saving this tape. It'll do the trick." He began to wrap it around Elliot's leg. Elliot sighed with relief. But the tape was old and the ends came unstuck. Even worse, it took out some of Elliot's precious stuffing. "Oh dear," fretted Lionel. "That wasn't very useful." "No," said Elliot softly. "Wait for us! We know what to do in emergencies!" called Paisley Bear and Amy as they tumbled down the stairs. They quickly examined Elliot's leg. "You need bandaging," they decided. "That's the answer." But their small roll of gauze wrapped only one hole. The other hole was getting bigger. "Sorry, Elliot," said Paisley. "I thought we had more."
Mommy.
"Thanks anyway," said Elliot sadly.
Is this like Mommy? Is this like Mommy?
"I think so." "Our turn! Our turn!" cried Snowy and Puff. "We know what to do! We'll glue Elliot's leg!" But when they'd finished, the hole slowly opened up again. Globs of sticky glue were everywhere. Elliot fought back tears. "It seemed like a good idea," he told the cubs. "Thanks for trying." Elliot." Angel stepped forward. "I have just what you need." She held up a large clip. "This will hold your leg together until the glue dries," she said. She closed up the hole and attached the clip. "You'll be okay now." Everyone cheered. Everyone except Elliot. The hole was fixed, but he could barely move his leg. He couldn't imagine ever having fun again. Elliot desperately wanted to cry. He longed to be alone. Socks could see that something was still wrong. "Elliot needs to rest now," she announced. She pulled out her favorite blanket. The others tiptoed away. As she tucked him in, Socks noticed the thread still dangling from Elliot's messy leg. She murmured. She gave him a pat, then crept softly to the kitchen. At last, Elliot could cry. With each peek at his leg, he sobbed harder until finally he wore himself out. Elliot was just drifting off to sleep when he heard something. He looked up. Socks was back with Beaverton. "Let's see," said Beaverton kindly. He inspected the damaged leg. Then he picked up the thread. "Gracious!" he chuckled. "Thank goodness Socks came to get me." "Hop on my tail," said Beaverton. "I'll give you a lift to my spot. We'll take that stuff off." "Won't I come apart?" asked Elliot. "Don't worry, I know how to fix things," Beaverton said proudly. In the kitchen, Beaverton dug through his cupboard and found a needle and thread. He undid the clip and sponged off the glue. He removed the bandage, the tape, and the pin. Then Beaverton carefully sewed Elliot's leg back together. And he showed Elliot how to sew too. "For next time," he said. Elliot jumped up with relief and ran circles around Socks. He even did cartwheels. He checked his perfect leg again and again. Then he stopped and gave Beaverton a big hug. "Thank you," he said. "You're welcome," said Beaverton. Elliot turned to Socks, but before he could thank her, she grabbed his arm. "Come on, Elliot," she cheered. "Let's show the others." That night, Elliot snuggled deep under his covers. He gave his leg one last little pat and sighed contentedly. Elliot smiled. Tomorrow, he and Socks would go exploring.